Hello, today I'll be presenting this scenario for Clean Bikes, which is the leading manufacturer of zero-emission motorcycles. That's why they call themselves Clean Bikes. They sell their motorcycles to customers directly through their sales and service processes that are being covered currently um, through a um, through three different systems that they're looking to replace within the next 24 months. They also have processes for B2B, where they're selling motorcycles, clean motorcycles through distribution channels via resellers or attempting to onboard them into a partner portal, and that would then replace the existing systems that they currently have. They're also looking to internationalize it since it has global reach. So we'll also enable this through a single org that has multi-language enabled through translation workbench that translates metadata of custom labels and translation workbench. We're also going to enable multi-currency in this case for its global presence as well. We implement the solution using a single org. In this org, we also have a managed package for locate that calculates geolocation and validates addresses. Salesforce Voice that integrates via CTI connector with Amazon Connect. Salesforce Voice enables the outbound calls and inbound calls for the solution. And then DocuSign is for the e-signature capability. The internals users and the external partner users will authenticate using SAML via Okta. Okta will then federate identities with a separate ID store. So they have a unified identity solution for these users, for their internal users and external users. The ESB and ETL will be also provisioned by a data steward. The data steward is responsible for the data classification, data profiling, and then making sure that the target schema mappings and the source systems are identified for the ETL process. The ETL itself goes through staging, and then it includes the cleanup and deduplication of data from the existing systems. I imagine since there are three separate systems that are managing these individual processes, if they do overlap in domains, the data steward will have to be diligent with regards to the rules that are applied for duplicate identification, and control. Those will be established in the outset in the ETL process in the staging table, so we have to get records there. And the records are then ordered from parent to child with external IDs populated for referential integrity, which is then fed into the bulk API, which bulk API then initiates the load with the sharing deferred, and the automation is deactivated. Those then load into production. And then once those then load production to production, and then there's a controlled cutover that is the window, the migration, and then there will be business sign off afterwards. And moving on now to the processes. Skipped over actors. Let's talk about actors for a moment. The channel managers receive sales code license since they're the channel owners. Customer service reps will receive service cloud license for the case management and omnichannel. The dealers will receive partner community license for the account role hierarchy, and then the customers receive customer community license for access to their own records and data. Now to the processes, we have dealer onboarding. It starts out with the potential dealers that will then create a new dealership application that will be captured on the website. The website, I'm assuming, is the guest user, the guest, their guest users on the experience portal site. I'm also assuming that's going to be below the limits that are established for the guest users. But they'll be able to access it using an iframe of a screen flow for lead creation. This is also for the case where they have a web page, external web page, but if it's just a portal page that we'd be using, it would be just a screen flow without the iframe component, since it can be easily embedded within the experience portal. They will be, to fill out the flow, they will enter the data around the dealership, the dealership's name, address and website, tax ID. There will be entry into basic form fields on the screen flow itself. Then the address is entered, which is validated by locate at the time of entry. So locate is a managed package that has the ability to validate addresses that are entered in real time and then return responses. The name and contact information for the owner of the dealership is also captured, and that is captured on the lead record that's created with all this data. The motorcycles that they'd like to sell and the quantity of those motorcycles are stored as a JSON string within a, but it's stored within that format, but within the screen flow, they can select the type, the make, model of the motorcycle, not make, but the model of the motorcycle that they'd like to sell, and then they would be able to then set the quantity, so they're basically their cart, and that would store as a JSON string on the lead record as well. When the application, the lead record, in my case, is submitted, the channel manager will be associated with the lead record, or own the lead record essentially. This will be triggered by an Apex trigger, so the lead will be created. This will be on a create Apex trigger automation that will then calculate the closest channel manager that is based on geolocation. That will be calculated simultaneously from locate, which returns a geolocation for the validated address, and then also compares it to the channel managers that are within the system, and then calculates the closest and assigns that person as the lead. The channel manager will then run a credit check, which will be based on a quick action on the lead record. The quick action will then initiate a request reply call out to a credit check API that will then return the credit score number. They can also call from Salesforce using Salesforce Voice, and they'll just make calls directly using Amazon Connect CTI integration. If the credit check passes, then the channel manager can update the status and update the status of the lead as nurturing, and then that will send or pending signature that will then trigger a DocuSign envelope that will be sent to the lead from Salesforce using the DocuSign package, and that there will be a signature. Once they do sign it, then that will then qualify the lead and then create a business account and a contact for the lead that is submitted in. From there, that contact, who's the reseller primary contact, will then have admin access to be able to then set up their own internal hierarchy of users as well. That will then notify the contract. The contract's been signed, and the channel manager will also be notified using a red triggered flow. The lead, if they don't make the call, or if there's a credit check that fails, this will be at the channel manager's discretion, but they can also then escalate the lead at their discretion to their manager, and that will just change the ownership. If they decide that they want to accept that risk, if they're for example, if the credit check fails, they want to accept the risk, what they can do is then click a quick action on the lead record that will then trigger a DocuSign envelope in the same process as before. That will then, upon signature, qualify the lead and then create the account and the contact. If they do reject, then they would then unqualify the lead, and the lead will then be not converted. Once the contract has been signed, the channel manager should be able to then create contacts under the account that they're assigned to it as the owner. They can then also create opportunities for potential deals as well under that same account that they're assigned as the owner, so that reseller. Okay. Moving on now to the dealer management. So we talked about the onboarding of the dealers. Now, how are we going to manage the dealers? They will work with the dealers on purchase agreements, essentially, that the dealerships are attempting to purchase for demand for their customer base. What channel managers will do is they will create an opportunity That will then be a proposed agreement for the various various motorcycles that the resellers are attempting to buy. The opportunity will track different stages as well of the reseller, the sales process from the channel manager to the resellers. They'll have record types for the different opportunities based on the region, or based on region. So there'll be a region record type partitioned by different regions. And then they can also customize the sales paths using those record types that are created per region as well. Those will be configurable, of course, since they're record types, and they all have page layout editability there. Not with clicks, not code, of course. And in order to enforce a minimum price at which the motorcycle can be sold, what we'll be doing is essentially per region. And this is my assumption as well, is that this is talking about minimum price per region. And so with the different price books representing the different regions, and then the products representing different motorcycle types, we would then store the minimum price at the price book entry level along with the standard price. And that will then establish a minimum price that can be enforced at the point in time when an order is being created. And then, of course, the last is they would like to have an average discount percentage below a certain threshold. So there is this requirement doesn't really make sense. The average discount percentage is below. Yeah, okay. So yeah, they want to reduce the amount of discounts per region. So I'll have metadata types per region that will then be enforced via an Apex trigger on the opportunity object. Underestimate or overestimate the quantity that they are attempting to buy. What they can also do is give the ability for them to create orders. So what's happening initially with the opportunity is, of course, that it's creating the contract that establishes the minimum or the agreed upon quantity of what's been bought. And then at the order levels, the fulfillment or the actual resellers defining at what frequency they want the orders, and at what quantities and which months. So at the order level is when they would submit the actual purchase order, and then the line items as of for the quantity per month is at the order product level. So you'll have a quantity at the order product level, and then a month designation for the product itself. So you have a single place for it to be fulfilled. And then we have a centralized place, of course, for validation too. So we have the total quantity on the order via the master detail on the order product. And then we can refer to back then the contract to make sure that it's within compliance with what the actual schedule is. If they do have a discrepancy between, or if they exceed the order product that was agreed to on the contract itself, so if they exceed that amount there on the max of the order product, or the total of the order product quantity, what they can do is then what we'll do is that it will have a task created on the order record, and then that will create a task for the channel manager to create a new opportunity, and that will then create a new contract and then update that existing order as well. So there will be the ability for them to create a new opportunity with a new contract, and then the existing order that tracks the entire year of orders will then be updated with the new quantity that is the max. Or the contract will be the quantity that's the max, but the order will be able to then be updated with the agreed upon quantity. The dealerships will also be able to order additional bulk sales with the customers in one transactions, and how they would do that is since Clean Bikes is selling to these dealerships and they can't sell 10 plus motorcycles in one go with a single customer, what we'll do as Clean Bikes is allow them to set up trade opportunities with opportunity line items. Those opportunity line items then allow for the actual dealers to then create their own personal negotiation with the Clean Bikes and allow for them to make their own orders in case the channel manager isn't doing that. It gives the dealers the ability to do that, just to order their own. There will be a sign-off on any discounts as well, based on opportunity validation, in case they are adding discounts to opportunity line items here. And then any different information that's captured during the bulk deal sales, they'll be different. So essentially, we'll have just a record type on the opportunity object that will then differentiate the bulk sales deals and then the salespeople with Clean Bikes and differentiate their opportunities that way. And then the UI will be updated or dynamic based on that record type as well via screen flow. Okay. Moving on now to the customer service process, where talk about a couple of things here. There are 10 issues submitted per year per customer. So that is quite a few, since there are what, 5 million customers in 5 years. So we're going to have a lot of cases. We're going to need to have a data warehouse set up via data steward and be migrating any non-operational cases into that data warehouse so that they're not clogging up the platform. The cases, when they are created though, and they can be created via phone, via Salesforce Voice, web, which is web to case, or email is email to case, those will then be created as case records. And those case records then are then routed to the customers to a CSR within the region based on the queue assignment of the case, and then the omnichannel will handle the rest to the CSR that's based on their availability and category with skill-based routing. If there are any injury-related issues, then they need to be assigned to the global team, and this will be based on case assignment rules. Those case assignment rules are going to be based on a case classification system that will automatically classify cases. So the case assignment rules will assign it to a global queue of CSRs, and they will be then able to address those. If the issue is not acknowledged within a defined time period, we will have the manager in the region alerted via case escalation rule. The manager in the region is assigned manager via the role hierarchy. So there will be the CSRs will be split up to different roles per region, and they will different teams for that region role. They will be assigned to different teams within the different regions, and they will also, the manager will be assigned to at the region level, or at the region level, but they'll be above them in the role hierarchy. The customers can also purchase additionally the plans or different service plans. This is based on their order. So they'll have an order product for the service plan that they are selecting if they choose to, or they'll have the basic plan as well. And that will then enable entitlements for that person account. So there'll be an entitlement that is created at the entitlement created at the person account level. And then those will then feed the case with their entitlement. The higher priority will be also enforced for the cases. This will be based on Amazon Connect and Salesforce Voice for the phone queue. And what we'll actually do is provide a separate phone number for the special Premier customers. that they can call in, and then there will be a validation to ensure that they have a record before they are placed in a queue. So we'll validate with two different numbers, but only premier customers can actually find support that way. And that will be based on validation within Salesforce and Salesforce Voice. They will provide an authenticated portal for customers. This will be using the customer portal. You'll be able to log issues using a screen flow, and then there will be knowledge articles associated with cases using case knowledge as well. And now to the security requirements, we have the account owners that will be responsible for the dealership and dealer information. This will be the resellers. They will have access. The managers will have access to the channel managers' records via the role hierarchy that they're assigned to. The channel managers, if they need support, can look at with opportunity teams. They can assign members to their opportunity team to get support on the opportunities they create. Tax ID is very sensitive, so apparently, never heard of that, but Tax ID is very sensitive to the resellers, and so we'll have field level security for the channel managers, and then the customer service reps will have for their role that is based on the region, will have ownership-based sharing role, so they have share all access, with the exception of injury issues, which they will have access to based on the record type that is associated with it. The case access will be also enabled via implicit sharing for the dealership management, so there will be an account lookup on the case object. There is an account lookup on the case object that looks up to the account, so they have implicit sharing access. And then the customers will have access to the case via sharing set. Opportunities are then assigned to, so the dealer owner and channel managers should be able to create then opportunities with the record type of the bulk sales, and that will be only accessible to the dealership owner, but while the channel manager has the ability to create different opportunities with bulk size or with the reset with the plain bike sales as well to resellers. And then channel managers will be able to store free text notes about contacts under the resellers, and they'll be able to edit that and have access to it via field level security. Channel managers, channel sales management team will be able to view their subordinate managers via role hierarchy, but they won't be able to see who's missed their quota, and so they'll have the ability to set quotas using the opportunity quota object. And they'll be able to then also set pipeline opportunity forecasting pipelines for that as well. And then finally, there is the ability apparently for the motorcycles to generate 100 codes per year through an on-screen computer that needs to be reportable within Salesforce via like issue codes, and that will be aggregated at the top 5. So what we'll do, first of all, for the average support call time and issue length and issue category reporting, we'll have a standard reporting on the case object and then on the call object for those specific telephony data. And then for the 100 error codes per year for those motorcycles, which amounts to 5 million, now there's a lot of records. So what I'm going to recommend here is that we set up a separate data table, we use the data warehouse for, we'll use the combination of the ESP and the data warehouse for the, for transmitting those records, those error codes per motorcycle, and then store that within the data warehouse. And then we integrate those data sets from the data warehouse with a Tableau installation within Salesforce, and then use the Tableau and those data sets for the reporting there, the aggregated top 5 that are sent each year. Thank you.